Hello and welcome to the last video of Daniela Explores in Finland. Early in the morning we drove to the port of Helsinki where we joined the boarding queue. We booked the morning crossing from Helsinki to Tallinn, Estonia. This was the beginning of our journey back home to Bulgaria. In the atrium, a band was playing. The morning we were crossing, I counted 3 open restaurants, 2 bars, and of course the duty-free shop. On the ship there are 3, I think, decks reserved for cabins. My previous experience of large car ferries is limited to the Dover-Calais crossing, and the Viking ship we were on felt really different from the ships crossing the English Channel. A nice lady at the buffet restaurant explained that the ship does cruises around the Baltic Sea. I do not cruise, so if you're interested in cruising the Baltic Sea, I put a link to Emma Cruises channel in the description below. Emma is the queen of cruises in my opinion. It was a clear day and I had some beautiful views of Helsinki and the archipelago around the capital of Finland. I also had a clear view of how difficult it will be for a warship to get through the maze of little islands. Looking at the route the ferry is taking, there is only one safe way in and one safe way out Helsinki port. And this route in 1853 was guarded by a formidable fortress. Imagine what must have been like. The United Kingdom and France are allies of the Ottoman Empire, and they are fighting Russia in Crimea. The Allies want to open another front, and you are the British admiral chosen to sail into the Baltic Sea and make trouble for the Russians. Your officers got the job by a mixture of plutocracy and nepotism, not meritocracy. If your family was rich enough and connected enough, they could buy you a position in the Royal Navy. Some have some good skills, but from the officers down to the lowliest of sailors, the majority have little or no training or experience. And you are in the Baltic Sea. It is cold, foggy and icy. You have some sketchy cartography and a list of possible targets. Most of the main targets on the list are surrounded by small islands and rocks outcrops, some visible, some not. And the Russians have kindly removed buoys and safe water marks marking safe routes for ships. The main approach to large ports like Helsinki are guarded by fortifications covering multiple islands. Your bosses in London are not being very helpful. They want results, but they cannot provide you with the weaponry and the modern ships to get the job done. And of course, the press is blaming you for the lack of progress. And everyone is an expert in naval warfare, even those whose only experience of a battle in water is in a bathtub. Certain things never change. However, Admiral Napier, the Commander-in-Chief of the British Naval Forces in the Baltic Sea, achieved a lot before he was sacked. He managed to disrupt Russian trade, fishing and supply routes. He forced Russia to keep troops in the Baltic states, therefore achieving one of the main goals of the campaign: stopping Russia from sending reinforcements into Crimea. Also, Napier's training regime turned inexperienced men into a competent fighting force. We are sailing past the fortress that defended Helsinki. Suomenlinna fortress was called Viapori in Finnish until 1918, and the Swedish name for the fortress was Sveaborg. And a big battle occurred here. The British and the French combined forces bombed this fortress for 46 hours straight. The Allies had more modern guns and could launch rockets and cannonballs at the fortress while staying out of the range of the Russians' obsolete cannons. However, the fortress did not fall, and if the Allies had moved closer, they would have come under fire and would have suffered major damage. And on land, of course, the Russian troops were waiting for them. So after the battle, the Allies didn't attempt to land. The construction of the fortress began under Swedish rule in 1748. Between 1808 and 1918, Viapori was a military base of the Russian Empire and was not part of the autonomous Grand Duchy of Finland, part of the Russian Empire. Finland declared independence from Russia in 1917, but Viapori was not transferred to the Finnish government until the spring of 1918, during the Finnish Civil War. At the end of the Finnish Civil War, the fortress was turned into a prison camp. King Frederick I of Sweden gave the job of building a fortress to defend Helsinki to Field Marshal Count Augustin Ehrensvärd. Ehrensvärd spent the rest of his life planning and building the fortress of Sveaborg. Ehrensvärd's design was a low-profile bastion-type fortress that follows the natural contours of the islands. Ehrensvärd designed Sveaborg to have a series of independent fortifications across several linked islands, and at the center of the complex a navy dockyard. It is a bastion fort of Tres Italien style, the style developed during the Renaissance in response to advances in warfare, specifically gunpowder and cannonballs. Suomenlinna is now one of the most popular tourist attractions in Helsinki and a picnic hotspot in good weather. Until next time, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. That would be wonderful. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.